What's going on, everyone? I'm Anthrix, and today I have a new video for you, and it is going to be my breakdown of the 2020 Colorado General Senate election. So, the two candidates in the 2020 election for the state of Colorado are Cory Gardner and John Hickenlooper. So, Cory Gardner is the incumbent U.S. Senator. He was elected first in 2014, so this is the end of his first term. And before being elected senator, he was the U.S. representative from Colorado's 4th Congressional District. And his likely opponent is John Hickenlooper. So John Hickenlooper ran for president in 2020. He was the former governor of Colorado from 2011 through 2019, excuse me. And he also served as mayor of the city of Denver from 2003 to 2011. So the first election back in 2014 when Cory Gardner was elected, Cory Gardner won with 48.2% of the vote to incumbent Senator Mark Udall 46.3%. So Cory Gardner did win with a plurality of the vote, and that's important because on this map you see this little blue square that goes up. This is the city of Denver. This is where most of the population of Colorado is centered. But what's really important is these three surrounding counties that are all in light blue. These are the Denver suburbs. Now, typically, when a Republican wins in Colorado, they either win these suburbs or they win so well in the rural Colorado and make it super, super close in these suburbs that it makes up enough votes to win. However, as we know, the suburbs are typically trending more towards the Democrats now, with a lot of more moderate voters and more moderate women beginning to vote more Democrat. So if we see the Denver suburbs going blue, then that's a pretty clear sign Republicans are not in good shape in Colorado. However, Cory Gardner was able to narrowly lose these suburbs and win well throughout the rural areas, and that is how he was able to win the state of Colorado. It also helped that it was a very Republican wave year of 2014, where a lot of Republicans won the Senate, and it was very anti-Obama year, so that was good news for Cory Gardner. And in that same year, we have our Democratic challenger, John Hickenlooper. He was the governor of Colorado at the time, and there was an election where he won against Bob Beauprez, the Republican nominee, 49.3% to 46%. So, John Hickenlooper was popular governor at the time. However, his poll numbers were vulnerable. Not that he was a bad governor, but he was within 5 to 10% of being beatable and being Republicans having a chance to really play that anti-Obama sentiment and potentially unseat John Hickenlooper. And this election was closer than a lot of people thought. Bob Beauprez made a few gaffes on the campaign trail, including a very similar to Mitt Romney 47% styled elitist kind of statement. So he had some bad baggage on the campaign trail. However, John Hickenlooper was able to win by a pretty close margin, by about 3 points. But you may notice John Hickenlooper did get more votes than Mark Udall did, but Bob Beauprez did not get more votes than Cory Gardner, however. But look at the Denver suburbs. Denver is dark blue, and the suburbs are darker blue. What that means is John Hickenlooper overperformed than Mark Udall in the suburbs, and you see John Hickenlooper's margin of victory compared to Mark Udall's loss. John Hickenlooper gained about 3% over Mark Udall. And look at the difference between the trends up out here, but also look at the suburbs. The suburbs are key to any race in Colorado. So Cory Gardner's current approval rating, according to the Morning Consult polling average, is Cory Gardner is 37% and his disapproval rating is 40%. That's honestly not that bad. I was expecting a lot worse, considering there's been a ton of articles out saying how Cory Gardner is toast and how his approval rating is not good and how President Trump's making it worse. If his approval rating is really 37% and it disapproves 40%, that's not bad. That's better than President Trump's in the state of Colorado by likability and approval. So that's actually not that bad for Cory Gardner. I was expecting a lot worse. However, this is the problem for him. When John Hickenlooper left the governorship, he ended up with an approval rating of 47% and disapproval of 44.5%. So John Hickenlooper was a pretty good governor when he left. He was approved of statewide by more people than disapproved of. That's a problem for Cory Gardner because John Hickenlooper seems to have the likability and the approval aspect on his side. So we haven't had much primary polling, and we actually haven't really had a lot in a while. We're coming up on 6 or 7 months now since we had a poll in the Senate race. But a Democratic skewed Keating poll has Hickenlooper at 53, Gardner at 42. The Emerson poll, which did leave a lot of undecided voters, had Hickenlooper at 53, Gardner at 40, and a GSG Democratic skewed poll had John Hickenlooper at 49% to Cory Gardner 39%. So there aren't really many polls, and there really aren't any good polls out. The only you can make an argument for Emerson being good, but like that was in August, and that was like really politically that was a lifetime ago. So there really aren't any good polls out right now. So we need more data to come out to really get a good case of what's going on in this race. However, Hickenlooper in this average is up 11.4%. I don't think he's up by that much, but I do think Hickenlooper, without a doubt, is leading, and he is the favorite, I think, to win at this time. But that's my personal assessment. We'll get into that soon anyway. Endorsements for Cory Gardner. He doesn't have many, but he has a few pretty important ones. He has Donald Trump, the President of the United States. He has John Bolton, the former National Security Advisor for the United States. And he has Nikki Haley, former U.S. Ambassador to the UN, former South Carolina Governor, and possible 2024 presidential candidate. As for John Hickenlooper, he has a bunch. He has Joe Biden, who is the presumptive 2020 Democratic nominee, and Obama's former VP. He has Michael Bennet, his co-senator from Colorado. He also ran in 2020. As did Julian Castro, former secretary from Texas, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand from New York, Kamala Harris, senator from California, Andrew Yang, 2020 candidate businessman, Bob Casey Jr., senator from Pennsylvania, Dick Durbin, senator from Illinois, and Tim Kaine, senator from Virginia. So my personal assessment of this race, I think John Hickenlooper is the clear favorite to win this race as of now. The incumbency advantage will help out the incumbent candidate. The incumbency definitely helps out Cory Gardner keep the race close, but it's not going to be close enough to help him win here. President Trump's approval rating, he isn't really loved in Colorado. I'm pretty sure it's either close or he's more disapproved in Colorado than approved. And Trump, it's not like Gardner where it's 37-40. Trump's like pretty sure it's like 45-50. So at least half of the people don't like President Trump in Colorado, which is not good for him or an incumbent Republican senator trying to win re-election in a purple to trending blue state. And this is not really great news for Trump or for Gardner. When Hickenlooper left office, he was a popular governor, and his polling data does still show he is relatively popular in the state. 2014 was a very big Republican wave year, and Cory Gardner only won with a plurality of the vote, which says if they have a strong Democratic candidate, and Mark Udall was not really that strong of a candidate, so if they have a strong Democratic candidate like John Hickenlooper in a 2020 presidential year, where Democratic turnout was often up, then there's a good chance that John Hickenlooper and the Democrats will probably win. Just to give Cory Gardner a little praise, Cory Gardner is a very good candidate and is a very good campaigner, one of the best in the Republican Party, but he faces almost insurmountable odds just given the current political climate and situation he's been put into with trying to run the ballot in the same year of President Trump in a presidential year. It's just not the same circumstances as 2014. So my nth prediction for this race, no surprise, I see John Hickenlooper winning this race. I think Hickenlooper will win. I do think it will be a little bit closer than the polls are saying. I think Hickenlooper will get about 52%. Cory Gardner will get about 46%. There are a independent candidate and libertarian candidates running, so I think that 2% left over will kind of be split between the libertarian and maybe a little bit of the independent party. So I think Cory Gardner will make it closer than the polls suggest, but I still see John Hickenlooper winning and becoming the next senator out of Colorado, and Cory Gardner is one and done for his 6-year term in the Senate. So that is my general election breakdown for the state of Colorado. If you like this video, please leave a like. Tap the bell icon so you always get notified whenever I post a new video. I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back to my videos. You have no idea how much it means to me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.